Well, hello. Thank you to everyone joining today and spending a few minutes with us at our Tech Talk. My name is Mike Dreyer. I lead client success and strategy at Symphony Talent, part of which is our programmatic media strategy solution that we're going to dive into a bit today. I have the pleasure to be joined by Rick Jordan. Rick is Senior Director of Talent Acquisition at Dick's Sporting Goods. And we're going to talk about how Rick's company, Dick's Sporting Goods, identifies staffing gaps within their stores, leverages technology to optimize those efforts, and ultimately delivers against their expected hiring goals and outcomes. Rick, welcome. Thank you for joining.
Hi, Mike. Thanks for having me.
And thanks again, Rick. So, I've been really looking forward to this quick personal story. So, we work with a lot of big brands like Dick's, and every now and then a client brand kind of creates an indelible memory. And sports has always been a big part of my life, as well as my family's. I played baseball at a pretty high level. My sister actually has been the beat reporter for the Seattle Mariners for the last 20 years. And one of my best memories growing up was kind of getting up on a Saturday and going to the local mom and pop sporting goods store with my dad and just roaming the aisles, trying stuff on, playing with equipment. And these were obviously immersive experiences, right? This was way before e-commerce was a thing. And I think in this day and age of kind of click and done, your company still does a really good job of creating that mom and pop sporting goods store experience through a Fortune 500 company. And so a few years ago, my daughter, who's now like a huge athlete, she plays soccer and softball. She was getting ready for her first t-ball season, and so of course we went up to our local Dick's Sporting Goods store in North Seattle here, and she began trying things on and kind of feeling the leather glove on her hand, swinging a bat. Well, the staff there really started to get into it, and they started to encourage her to kind of try more stuff on, and even safely letting us play catch in the aisle. And I happened to capture that moment or that day in a picture that you see here on the left. And so it just kind of was one of those moments that I'll never forget. And now when you click over to the right, you can see what she looks like today, a few years later as a 9-year-old. She's all business, loves playing softball and getting ready for another season right now. The point is, you can't replicate those experiences always online, right? It came from really knowledgeable employees that cared, and that's why we come back every single time we go to Dick's Sporting Goods. So if you transition that to today's chat, it's no secret that finding, securing, and retaining really good talent remains a top priority among hiring teams throughout the year. But solving for that need can be a challenge, right? Especially when the market is really tough, like what we're seeing today. And I think aligning business needs with today's candidate experience is imperative to remain competitive, ensure that quality hires through any hiring season maintains at a very high level. And so that's why we feel it's important to build your HR tech stack with the candidate experience in mind, something that you've and your organization have been really good at over the last several years, and really creating that experience that I received and my family receives, even through digital experiences, right? And first and foremost, meeting candidates where they are, regardless of where that is, right? So with that said, again, Rick, thanks for joining us today. I'm curious, as a recruitment marketing leader in sort of the Fortune 500 space, what recruitment marketing technology do you feel has the greatest impact on your strategy and ultimately the success that you've seen?
Yeah, thanks again, Mike. I appreciate the invitation to join in. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say I am a 7-year-old little dude that equally loves going to daddy's work and just disrupting the store. And to be very honest, if you talk to any of our teammates in the stores, our most favorite humans are the little ones that are running around, putting on their shoes, doing the racetrack. They absolutely love it. And I would say one of our recent visits to our stores, my son successfully knocked over a mannequin. There was a loud boom, and I'm like, "What was that?" And I'm like, "Oh my goodness, that's my kid." And the store manager, of course, I know her, and she's like, it's no big deal. It happens all the time. But it's been such a pleasure for the last 4 years to spend time here at Dick's Sporting Goods. And from day one, um, we've been a long-term partner of Symphony Talent. And so from day one for me, I've had the pleasure of working with Symphony. And, there are a lot of levers we pull when it comes to attracting talent. But I have to say a key lever for us really is programmatic media. It is one of our go-to strategies, whether it's a national campaign for the big holiday season, or if it's more specific areas of growth from our business that we need to increase talent in technology or finance or whatever it might be. We have really come to rely on programmatic to connect us with really great talent and meet them where they're at in a very precise way.
Yep. Yeah, and we've seen programmatic absolutely rise in popularity and viability, usefulness over the years, probably about the last decade or so. I had the the kind of unique opportunity to really be a part of sort of the creation of this industry 10, 13 years ago, before it really was an industry. And for those who may be unfamiliar joining us today, so programmatic media essentially uses data and analytics and machine learning in sort of a rules-based format to target specific audiences that you want to send your recruiting message to in the form of advertising. And so it uses sort of a set of sophisticated algorithms to serve ads to people who fit your target candidate profiles, and then automatically optimizes the ad buying process in real time based on performance metrics, which ultimately the goal should be to lead to high cost efficiency and better resource allocation, and to ultimately drive people through the funnel much quicker. And so, Rick, how have you used programmatic over the years, and what types of results have you seen?
Yeah, I think I was just thinking about what you just said in that optimization and real time adjustment. So it's really we in recruitment. So 15 years ago when I started in TA, it was a post and pray, set and forget it, like a rotisserie chicken. Like, it's amazing how far we've come, where the advertising strategies can be target and can be turned on and turned off based on our needs and the applicant flow we're getting in. At Dick's, we've been a Symphony Talent partner for over a decade, but we've been using programmatic for 6+ years. And we really appreciate the ability to automatically and consistently adjust based on the needs of the business. It helps us refine, it helps us to spend smartly, and it really helps us to get the candidates that we need, because our team is super data driven. Being a nationwide retailer, we really, I'm not standing in every store. I'm not spending time with every single store manager talking about their recruitment. But what we do is we're very connected to our store labor team. And so we see the labor staffing goals, or the labor goals for the stores. And then we marry that up against applicant flow. And it comes in, it's nicely packaged for us. So we can see where our biggest gaps are, where the stores are not getting applicant flow. And then we flip that. So essentially we go to our talent partner at Symphony Talent and we say, hey, these are our key gaps. So they're tier A. I've got a secondary tier B. And then we set that programmatic strategy to really get the best bang for our buck and focus the advertising where we need it. Because we've got some locations and some positions that get an abundance of activity. And before, you might just throw some advertising out there because you think you need it. But we really are targeted and being very smart and being super data driven when it comes to our advertising now across the organization. But really, when I think about the big win, it's across our stores organization.
Yep. And when you kind of think about how programmatic media fits into sort of the larger talent acquisition matrix, it's kind of one piece, right? Alongside
Sure.
things like employer brand activation, content marketing, remarketing, and other sorts of tactics that ultimately are really designed to work together in driving influence initially, and then people into active job seeker mode, hopefully. So we believe it is sort of one key element in the larger talent acquisition matrix. And actually, we just wrapped our research phase for our annual recruitment marketing strategies report, which reviews and grades the effectiveness of Fortune 500 companies like yours on their recruitment tactics. So, for example, their careers websites, their employer brand efforts. And I'm happy to share that your company received an A, ranking you as a recruitment marketing leader in the space, right? And so we do consider you an expert in this area, but I think it's also important to note that you improved your grade by 14 points since 2021, going from a B to an A. And so here's a sneak peek at some of our initial findings, right? So looking at the factors that led to your grade, and especially the improvement in the grade, these are actually some of the key areas where Dick's Sporting Goods has significantly improved. And I think a lot of it goes back to your employer brand, the content that you send out, and certainly how you communicate that. And I see you sent monthly communications to your talent network. That's awesome. You provided sort of a wider breadth of content, not just job postings. And you have candidate resources on your careers website, just to name a few. So kind of with that said, again, congratulations, but how do you feel programmatic media plays into your overall recruitment marketing strategy ultimately to help you achieve your goals?
Yeah, I mentioned earlier, there's definitely a bunch of levers that we pull in terms of talent attraction and influencing people to say, yeah, Dick's Sporting Goods is a place I want to take my career. Um, Programmatic is a big piece. It lets us, again, be laser focused and generate candidates where we might have not the amount of talent we need in our funnel. But I think it's super important that it's just one piece of the puzzle, and that programmatic ad might take you to the career site. It might take you to a job posting. You might see us on Facebook or Instagram, or you might see a fun video on TikTok, or you might see a display ad. And those stories, they're all woven together. And it really talks about Dick's as more than just a retailer, but a place that is really invested in our communities and really invested in our teammates. And again, thinking back to your little kiddo and mine, we are really rooted in sport and supporting youth sports. So we want to tell that story, that it's not just about this one sales associate job that's open. It's about the company, what we believe in, it's more than just that transaction when you walk into the store. It's equipping people to, go out for their first t-ball game. Or I think of my son when he had his first real basketball game. So we got his new pair of Nikes, and we're creating memories and experiences that really do last a lifetime. And so it is so important that we talk about that, and that all of our teammates that join understand that that's why we exist, and you have a connection to that purpose. And so all the things that you've mentioned around our talent network and how we nurture it and how we talk about more than just jobs in the communications we send out. Also giving resources for our candidates so they can know what they might expect in our selection process, or know how to reach out if they have questions or want to learn more. It's really, it is really an ecosystem. Programmatic is definitely a big piece of it, but all the other things are equally important to telling a story and influencing folks to join our team. I think looking at a recent campaign, so a recent example, you can see how when we bring programmatic media with an email campaign to nurture that talent, we saw not only a 64% increase in applies year over year. It's a beautiful thing when also the cost is decreasing. So I think when you put it all together and you're going at talent in very different ways through very different mediums and a multi-pronged strategy, I really think that's the secret sauce. And I'm happy. Thank you that we've recognized to get to that A rating, because that's been a goal for us to really optimize the work we do in talent attraction.
Wow, those are great insights, Rick, and certainly speaks to the importance of really understanding a true omni-channel approach. Any other big wins you found from programmatic media specifically?
Mike, I would share two things. One is we were really fortunate and lucky to have really good results during the pandemic, that we were able to keep our stores open. I think if you watch the news, it's tough. It was tough for everyone to find talent, and we didn't have to close early. We didn't have to shut down locations. We were able to run our business, serve our athletes, take care of our teammates. Um, and the other thing I would say is that we have strong goals against broadening our representation in our stores, and programmatic allows us to reach a very diverse audience and cast a really wide net, which in turn has created store populations that really reflect the communities we serve. So Mike, we talked about programmatic media, like what's next? Where's the future of recruitment marketing going?
A really good question, a question we get a lot these days. And I think there's a few answers to it, right? So first off, I think any digital marketer, whether you're in consumer marketing or if you're doing what we do, which is recruitment marketing, really needs to understand both the impact of evolving data privacy in general, and ensuring that your approach and your tech stack are well equipped to work with these evolving requirements and limitations in some cases. And thankfully, as you know, at Symphony Talent, we're well positioned to support this with our technology. And I'd encourage anyone listening today to reach out to us if you want to learn more about this. We'd be more than happy to talk about these impacts, but it will be a pretty big thing, especially most likely starting next year in 2024, when Google Chrome decides to sort of disallow third-party cookies on their browser. That's going to have sort of a major impact. Already two of the major browsers, Safari and Firefox, disallow third-party cookies. But when Chrome does that, that's going to basically represent about 2/3 of the web browser market share. And so that's a big one for us, and we're happy to talk to anyone who wants to know more about that. Back to programmatic media, though, I also believe that we as an industry has sort of created more demand for deeper insights. If you think back, kind of Rick, about some of those experiences, 10 plus years ago that you had, and you think about the evolution of recruitment ad tech, it used to be kind of about it basically was about educating clients initially about the benefits of rules-based, performance-based media and data targeting versus kind of what you talked about, which was that post and pray mentality at the time. A lot of manual ad buying, et cetera, which created kind of this culture of hyper focus on ROI, which is a good thing, right? What is my cost per click? What is my cost per apply? What's my cost per hire? And how can my strategy and my tech drive those metrics down to the lowest possible levels, right? And while those are still really important indicators to us, I think smart clients like you have come to really demand and leverage more insights, like what's happening in the funnel before the last media channel converts an applicant. What channels are playing a part in that person's journey to becoming an applicant, and why is it important to know what that journey is from a data perspective, right? And so today, more and more of our clients are starting to really focus on those types of metrics, as well as focus on time and speed. And they're translating their ad strategies to time to apply, time to fill, and the actual business ROI that results in having high quality employees in seats contributing to a company's bottom line. So in other words, cost per apply is important, but if a low cost per apply translates to longer time to fill, you're typically costing your business far more in lost revenue from those vacancies by only focusing on driving low cost per apply. And based on some recent research that we did in conversations with our clients, as well as some of our non-clients, we're seeing that today's organizations want a talent acquisition solution that goes from passive to efficient to agile to proactive, and then ultimately nirvana to us and those clients that we spoke to really is predictive. So if you think about most companies that are using programmatic media today, they're sort of kind of in those middle three tiers that you see there. Hopefully it's efficient, hopefully it's agile, hopefully it's proactive, but where we really want to get to is sort of that predictive state. And I believe we can get there because of the sheer amount of data that we can leverage, that tells us when organizations like yours have to ramp up hiring, when it starts to slow down, when that peak is, and get in front of it before it happens, right? That's where I really feel like we're going, not just with programmatic ad tech, but also with the entire recruitment marketing ecosystem, just to get to a more predictive state where we can leverage that historical data to get in front of hiring fluctuations before they happen.
It's the word nirvana makes you smile. It's not a word you hear a lot, but it is quite appropriate. I would say that from what you were just saying, Mike, there's us in talent acquisition. We have a lot of stuff coming across our desk. So whatever can make us, super efficient and thinking, thinking for us, thinking ahead of us. I can't imagine a TA leader who wouldn't get excited by that. Ultimately, just frankly, it's just going to make our lives easier and going to deliver, faster, better, more quality talent for the business.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's it for us. Again, I just want to really thank you, Rick, for joining us today. You're obviously getting your recruitment marketing and programmatic strategy right. And we're so thankful for being such a valued partner of ours. And hopefully that recruitment marketing report grade is a great indicator of that. And I'll just kind of leave the audience with this: to learn more about programmatic media and recruitment marketing with Symphony Talent, please check out the link in the chat. We'll also follow up with some more information to keep the conversation going.